Is it a beautiful drive down or what?
Yeah.
This morning was incredible. It was just so beautiful.
Okay, we're gonna move on down our agenda. This is under Commissioner discussion. These are action items. Our first one is the meeting minutes of January 3rd.
Mr. Chairman, those meeting minutes did not get completed. I will make sure that we work on those and have it on the agenda for next week to approve.
Okay, so we'll postpone those. I didn't see him. See Brian, okay, Brian's on down the list, so we gotta move on. The next one is the fiscal year 2021 Public Defense Expense Report for the Public Defense Commission, and this is an annual deal. And I think all three of us signed this. Oh, this is indigent.
No,
No,
that's,
indigent defense. That's the same as public defense?
yes, sir.
So there, and that is in your packet. Did everybody get a chance to look at that?
Yes, the only question that I had, so Doug, it says there's a couple of extra parts, Part B and Part C. So workload compliance assistance. It looks like that they get 27,480, spent 15,000 of that. And it says retention and hiring.
So of those grant dollars, that's how they break it down. That's how they're breaking it down.
Okay. And so retention and hiring, is that $15,000 though they incurred an expense or county incurred expense?
No, of the money that was received from the Public Defense Commission, so it's $52,443 is applied to the primary attorney's salary and benefits. And then 15,000 is for the chief deputy,
For his
retention and
chief-
hiring, and then staff is $12,480. That's how it's.
That 36,000, that's how they're defining what they're spending all that on.
So it's 70, if you total those up,
Because the contract primaries is 247,000.
right, and that's what the county pays.
And district, I'm District 2. I don't know.
You said I think you're 3, aren't you?
Am I 3? What district am I, Doug? No, I'm 2.
You're 2, Sherry. I'm 3.
3?
That's what I thought.
Conley's 3 and McCall's 2? Okay.
It's backwards to me. I hope that's what
Yeah, that
confuses
doesn't
me
make
every
sense.
time.
So the 52,443, Doug, is basically the grant, right?
No, the grant is actually, bear with me 1 second.
Contract primary attorneys.
Probably asked the same question last year, so I apologize, but
No, it's okay.
when I was looking at that, it was like, I don't understand, because they're only breaking down, a small portion of that, 247.
48.5.
This Part A is, they received 366,996. They're only accounting for a very small portion of it, and that's why I couldn't.
And that's the grant dollars that they're accounting for.
Okay, got it. So the rest of it is a direct county expense.
Correct.
Okay, good to
Um,
know.
27,480.
Between 52, 15, and 12, 27.
So the public defense grant that we received in fiscal year 2021 was $79,923. That's what we received from the Public Defense Commission. And if you see, they broke it out of, wow,
That tells you what the public defense is not covering between that 366 expense and the 79,000 were reimbursed. Wow.
so the grant dollars that were received were $52,443.30 was to assist with the contract for the primary attorneys. 15,000 was retention of the chief deputy is how it was listed out. And then $12,480 was for support staff. So it provides a breakdown of $79,923.30 was broke out in that manner.
So I would entertain a motion then to accept the public defense expense report.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I can interrupt
Sure,
for a
sure,
second.
sure.
Yeah, the total cost for public defense for Valley County was $366,996.64. That was the total expense for public defense, right? And then below provides the breakdown of how the grant dollars were utilized.
Thank you for that. That answers a lot of questions for me on how much it actually costs the county taxpayers to provide that service.
Yes.
A little
I
over
move-
300,000.
Yeah, it is. I move to approve the 2021 Public Defense Expense Report for Public Defense.
Dave, you want a second?
Second that.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved to second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Okay, next item on our agenda is an action item. This is to sign resolution 22-08 to adopt a redistricting plan for establishing Valley County Commissioner districts in compliance with Idaho Code 31704. And you sent that to us.
We did. And Dave, what was the map for today?
So I was gonna say to you guys, after we've gone through this, and then, I mean, I'm absolutely believe that Kara did a great job with this. We had some concerns that were raised by some folks who live down in that Dawn Drive area, Wagon Wheel. They feel like we're splitting them off from the area in which they participate, and they feel like, you know, even if it was, you know, something just as simple as our commissioner boundaries, that is not an accurate split through that area. So the map I sent you was the area that's kind of in concern. We moved the boundary from, it was down south. I don't remember what that road is down south, like R4, a little further south.
West 4,
We
yeah.
moved that up. Yeah, West 4. We moved that up to Barker Road and then straight across, and it inadvertently cut that whole peninsula area off. And so, you know, I think I went around with, I talked to Elt a little bit last week about it. And after I went back and looked at it a little closer, it is kind of an unusual split. I talked to Kara a little bit about it last week as well. And she said, you know, I was surprised that nobody mentioned that as well. She said it was just a matter of trying to balance those districts out. She did not have time to run a new report to see if we change that to include all of Wagon Wheel and kind of move the boundary up Gold Fork arm, what that would do to the numbers. She was going to get back to me on that, but she also said, you know, like with what the task was that we cited to her or asked her to do, was that we asked her not to split, you know, cities and things like that or like areas, and then to try to balance it out as much as possible. And so I think, like, going back through the information that we've done thus far, that might be a valid change before we move too much farther down the road here. It does separate out, like I said, a pretty geographically similar area. You know, those folks all associate with Donnelly and consider themselves part of the community in Donnelly. So I just thought I would bring that up. That was a concern that was raised by constituents. And again, after I looked at it a little closer, I tend to agree. I think that we maybe overlooked that when we were looking at the maps with Kara and going through the process with public hearings.
Even though I concur with the concern, Dave, I think that skews our districts huge. That is a large population center right there. And so, you know, I don't understand the mentality, I guess, or the reasoning behind the change. Because even if you move the line to the east and include Dawn Drive in your district, now you've just separated out, you know, the Wagon Wheel from Dawn Drive.
Well, no, what I was suggesting was that we move the line that we currently have down and to encompass Wagon Wheel, and basically everything on the south side of Gold Fork Arm would be in District 1, and then everything, including Wagon Wheel, going back up the highway to Barker Lane would be in District 2. And again, those were the numbers I asked for Kara to see if she could get them, and I wasn't able to get those numbers before the meeting today. So the percent of change is unknown at this point, but I again go back to that, separating like areas. We moved our boundaries around in McCall to accommodate that, and the folks that I talked to said that they, definitely identify more with the Donnelly district area than they do with the Cascade district area. So again, I'm raising the concerns, and having seen it and looked at it a little closer on the map, I tend to agree with it as well.
And I can understand, because I got those emails too, Dave, but the thing to think about or remember in the back of your mind is that one time Tamarack was in that Donnelly district, and now Tamarack is in Commissioner District 1. So we've moved a lot of boundaries. My concern with this request is that if you start kind of micromanaging where those boundaries are, we may never get this done. Because if the people find out that, hey, they'll switch it if you contact them, this could draw on for a long, long time. The other thing to keep in the back of your mind is really now Donnelly is going to end up being like McCall was, where they could actually pull 2 people from the Donnelly area to be commissioners. So it's actually a benefit for them if you think about it on a grander scale. And you have to remember, this is only where candidates can come from. It's about all this does.
I understand
Yeah.
all of these things, Elt, and I disagree with you, and I do think that we've worked very hard to try to group these areas together. And in my mind, again, I was originally looking at it and saying I don't see a problem, but when I looked at where that line is drawn up Don Drive, it separates the north and south end of Don Drive off of the rest of the community of Donnelly. The north half, if you're driving down, so you could literally be across the road from somebody and have them be in a different district. So that's what our goal was, is to change those little nuances and make them more sensible to all of us, sensible. And I just, like I said, in my mind, and I'm voicing my concerns, is that I don't think that's valid where that line is right now. As far as the process goes, Doug, what is our time frame? When do we have to have this done?
Mr. Bingaman, that's a great question. I would need to discuss with Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Brian Oakey about what the deadlines are.
I thought it was middle of January.
But it was the 15th.
Dave, and I can understand the conversation with Don Drive itself, because Don Drive accesses the Donnelly market through, West Roseberry. So all of them
Exactly.
come off West Roseberry. The rest of Wagon Wheel all come off Loomis and Old State Highway. So the access roads are different there. I just think if you include Wagon Wheel in your district versus else, it's a huge population shift. I think that if if Carrot were to run that, because else already lower by a couple hundred, I think, than your district. So, Don Drive does have population centers on it. And if you look at where the subdivisions were just approved, those are coming off Don Drive also. So I do think it's going to be a large population shift. If we did anything, I would say just keeping Don Drive all in your district, but putting Loomis and.
Well, I think as a minimum, I think that we need to do that. That makes absolute sense to me. When, again, when I was looking at it, I don't have the population numbers. I'm sure that that's a couple hundred folks, but again, I just go back to not separating geographic areas. And so you have an area that's more Donnelly area than Cascade, and to me, it makes perfect sense to look at whether or not we want to move the line over just to the east of Don Drive and up through there, not including the Wagon Wheel, or if we want to just have Kara run the numbers for both and see what the change is, because I know that we do have 10%
leeway, yeah.
that we're supposed to be within, but we don't know what those numbers are, and these are the people who are living there that are mentioning this.
And I do get that, the Don Drive one.
Doug, we need to find out when we have to have this done before we can really answer this question today.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I've just asked if my staff can see if Chief Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Brian Oakey could come up and provide us with the legal opinion of when this needs to be completed.
So can we
Okay, so
hold this?
then let's table this one till after lunch until we hear from Brian. And let's, if that's okay with everybody, and then let's move on down to our last action item for the morning session. This is an appointment of area impact representative to the McCall area P and Z. And Brian, you're presenting this one. Come on up.
This is the gentleman.
This is the new guy.
Yes.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome.
Good, good.
You're Austin?
He has an email
You're Austin?
ahead of time.
No, I'm Tom.
No, this is Tom Milfief. He's one of the three, people
Oh.
listed. Include all three.
Oh, there you go. Here, can you set
So
that on
are we
Dave's?
interviewing? What are we doing here, Brian?
Received the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission for the appointment.
So we don't have to interview all of them?
Tom is attended. You did not.
Bessie Joe Wagner, I take it is the second one?
Bessie Joe is our city clerk.
Oh,
That's
yep, yep.
just- So
Don
Austin
Havens
Brown
and,
was number one. Don Haven, I believe, is the third candidate, and then Tom is the second.
excuse me for wrecking your name, is it Milfith?
Millfight, yeah.
Milfith, thank you. Sampson Trail, okay?
So Tom is the one that you're recommending. All right, Dave, you don't have this. Do you want me to scan this really quick for you? If you want to email it to Dave so he can at least look at it.
Tom, how long have you lived in McCall?
Lived in McCall since 2016.
2016? So that's
Jerry,
what,
I'd love to see that if you wouldn't mind sending it over. Thanks.
6 years,
Brian's gonna
6 years you've been
go
in
ahead and
McCall?
email it to you right now.
I've been back in McCall. I was up
During crazy times.
here. It's turned crazy. Well, yeah, I was up working on.
So you're a contractor?
I am. I'm a construction man.
Okay. Do you feel like you have any biases or any concerns about having conflicts of interest if you're still a
I don't think-
contractor?
I really don't think so. I think I have a background in land development. I left Valley County first world. Austin, Texas, and Tucson. So I joined up with a group that was doing and feel like I saw a lot of what was going on in those big metro areas. And granted, we're a little bit smaller up here. I'm a fifth generation Idaho, and my family's been here. I grew up outside of Blackfoot. Family moved up here for a better way of life. To answer your question about conflicts of interest, I think that anybody at any given time could have a conflict of interest. To speak forthright and excuse yourself.
Good, good, because if you're still doing that kind of work and something comes up that, would involve you directly, you would have to recuse yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very important to understand that on any kind of a board, if it's a tie vote, it's an automatic no. So you keep that in the back of your mind. If you have to recuse yourself on a 5-member board, it could be hard.
Sure.
Been there, done that. It looks to me, looking at these 3 different ones, you've lived here the longest, which I appreciate. It means a lot to me. And this comes from the recommendation of McCall P and Z?
Yep.
Okay. Then I'll go ahead and make the motion that we nominate Tom Milfife to the Impact Area Planning and Zoning Commission.
Dave, did you get a
I'll
chance
second
to?
that.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Aye.
Welcome.
We'll look forward
Thank
to
you for
working
your
with you.
service. And it's It's the next step, and next thing you know, you'll be running for commissioner.
Ah, she's in my area, maybe.
Hey, whoa.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Okay, we're gonna go back. Our esteemed attorney, Brian Oakey, is here to give us the update. Do you know when we have to have the commissioner districts done by? The new districts, is it the 15th of January?
Doesn't give you a specific date, it says January prior to, general election year, so it has to be done this month.
By the end of the month? Dave is feeling like we need to have Kara come back and maybe remove or redesign some of it. Do some lines on Don Drive, which is not in the Donley districts in my district, and I just want to make sure we don't miss a deadline.
Mr. Chairman, Brian, would that require, if there are adjustments made, would that require additional public hearings?
Yes, it would. If you have made material changes to what you proposed initially, you do need to go back to the public and have a public hearing to get input.
And as soon as we could have, I can't see a calendar, that hearing is what, 2 weeks, takes 2 weeks in the paper?
Typically, yes, there's a 15-day notice
That's gonna
requirement.
be, I don't know if we have time, Dave, to do this. You look here.
That was, well, let's see, the 13th and the 20th.
We're not meeting on the 31st, are we?
No. Yeah, we don't have
We
time to
couldn't-
do it before the end
We
of
don't
the
have
month.
time to do it before the end of the month.
So with the adjustment that is being proposed, would that adjust the population counts so it would make it more equal or less equal?
Less equal.
Still within the 10% buffer?
We don't know that.
Don't know until you look at it and,
Kara would have to run new numbers. So it's all.
No, and that was the reason I said we're just making a decision off the hip right here. It would be probably better to have the opportunity to have GIS remap it and see what those numbers shift, what the number shift was, depending on where we wanted to adjust that boundary.
yeah. Would that be dividing the city of Donnelly into two different districts, or?
Right now, it's,
No, that was the concern that was
Upper Lake.
raised right now, is that right now we're splitting the Don Drive area off. So the north half of Don Drive is in District 3, and then the south half of the same road is in District 1. And so the
Gotcha.
concern was raised is that not only is that area represented, they feel like more of as being a part of community in Donnelly, but the same with the folks over on the Wagon Wheel side is that they feel like they are more a part of that. So it goes back to that, not splitting up, communities or like areas.
Sure. Gotcha.
My concern would be, if you include Wagon Wheel, it's a huge population shift.
That would be.
If we only did Don Drive, the southern half of Don Drive, we're probably only talking 50,
Yeah.
homes versus, Wagon Wheel, literally, I think there could be 400 or 500.
Wagon Wheel, is that in city
That's-
limits or is
No.
out in the impact area?
Not even in the impact
It's in
area.
the county.
That's all
And
in
same
the
with
county.
Don Drive.
Yeah, it's in the county.
But to Dave's point, that would be neighborhoods that feel like they're more in the
Don Drive will be
Donnelly.
in neighborhood.
Okay, well, the standards, the legal standards is focused more directly about splitting political boundaries, cities and counties, rather than neighborhoods. But the concept is the same, that splitting those in half can have a tendency to, could potentially have the tendency to alienate certain like-minded voters, so.
I guess I'm the district not impacted by this, so I will just state that I would be willing to shift that line east so that Don Drive was all in District 3, but leave Wagon Wheel in District 1.
the issue, honestly, you guys, is I don't think we have enough time to do this.
Regardless, you still have the time-sensitive issue that this has to be finalized by
Oh,
the
right.
January before your general election, and material changes need to be put back out there to public hearings.
So
So
we don't have enough time then. We can't have a public hearing and still meet in time to do this. So it's got to remain as is.
When is the next time that these will get looked at? Is that after the next census?
Yeah, every 10 years.
Well, I think we're going to catch grief over this. I'm not in favor of it. I'd say stall it, figure it out, do the GIS work, and potentially hand something in late to the state. But that's my 2 cents.
And I agree, Dave, that it needs to be looked at, but they needed to be raising their hand at the other public hearings because now we don't have time to do a public hearing.
I'm not arguing with you. These emails came in last week, and then I had a conversation with one of the folks that raised concerns, and I'm just relating what I heard to you. This is not it's not a ploy for me to get more people in my district by any means.
No, I understand totally.
So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion that we approve the new Valley County Commissioner districts as designed.
And I will second that based on the fact that, we've already passed a threshold to be able to do anything different than that.
And Sherry has a very good point that these people should have been at the public hearing and have voiced their concerns at that time. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Okay, so the motion is approved. And I guess the districts will stand as originally written. Thank you, Brian, for your help. At this time, we are going to recess for lunch. And I understand, Doug, that our 1 o'clock is not coming in today.
That is correct.
So we will see everybody back here. You want to start a little after 1, Brian?
That's fine.
And we can start sooner, as soon as we get back from lunch. So we'll see everybody back here around 1 o'clock.